Okay, how we're getting ripped off. Now, I just went through, basically how badly we've been ripped off. But who are the rip-off-ers? We are the rip-off-ees. Who are the rip-off-ers, and how are they pulling this off? David Dayen has a great piece in The Nation magazine, thenation.com. It was published yesterday. And it's titled, Toys R Us Workers Take on Private Equity Barons and Say You Ought to Be Ashamed. And here's what happened. Toys R Us was a profitable company. The spin that Republicans and hucksters and banksters and shill artists for the uber rich are trying to put out there right now is that the reason Toys R Us went bankrupt is because Amazon ate their lunch. That is absolutely, simply, totally not true. Toys R Us, actually, 1 out of every 5 toys in America last year was sold by Toys R Us. They had $11 billion in revenue last year, and every year for the last 3 years, they have grown. They're not shrinking. They're not being damaged by Amazon. Toys R Us was doing just fine, thank you very much. But during the Reagan administration, they legalized something that prior to that had been illegal. And it created the whole, the Michael Milkens of the world, the first generation of what they called at the time M&A artists, mergers and acquisition artists, which then led to venture capitalism, then to vulture capitalism, and now they renamed it private equity to make it sound nice. The stuff that Mitt Romney does for a living. And the way it works is they go to a company that's doing well, like Toys R Us, and they say, hey, nice company you got there. We're going to buy you. And Bain Capital, along with 2 other companies who played a smaller role, I think it was KKR and, hang on just a second, I got it. Yeah, Bain and KKR. There was one other company that was and Vornado Realty Trust. They played a very small role in this. So these 3 companies went to them, and they said, we're going to buy your company. And the cost to buy this company with $11 billion in revenue, the cost to buy this company was $5.3 billion. That's how much money it would take to buy Toys R Us. So they borrowed $5.3 billion, kicked in $1.3 billion of their own money. I guess the total was actually $6.6 billion. So they borrowed $5.3 billion to buy Toys R Us. And then they said to Toys R Us, we borrowed that money in your name because we now own the company. So we don't owe the $5 billion. You do, Toys R Us. And you have to pay the banks back that $5.3 billion. And we continue to be able to siphon all the profits out of the company and put it in our pockets. Plus we get management fees. Plus we get consulting fees. We get all this money. And you pay the debt, Toys R Us. And so Toys R Us was making $500 million annual debt service payments. They were paying $500 million a year on debt that they didn't have before Bain came along, before Mitt Romney came along. They had none of this debt. And then Romney's company comes in and, well, I don't know that they had no debt, but they, this is brand new debt. And then Romney's company comes in and takes this. And what happens is that even with $11 billion in revenue, you can't handle, that's total revenue. The toy business is a fairly low margin business. There wasn't enough profit left over to pay it. And so now you have the situation where all 735 Toys R Us stores are going to close at the end of this month. 33,000 workers are losing their jobs. Are they getting compensated? Are they getting severance? No, the executives all got their severance. They all got their multi-million-dollar packages the day before or just before they declared bankruptcy. And of course, Bain got their money, or most of it.